I'm live. Welcome to live chat. Remember to guard your privacy and abide by our community guidelines. Let me see if I didn't leave something out where y'all can see it. I don't want y'all to look at. No. Oh, I remembered to put all that stuff away, I guess. All right. Where's Al Toledo? Does anybody know? He's almost always right here on time, but he's been slipping lately. We'll have that same conversation we have every week where I fire him and he says, "You can't fire me, I quit." And I say, "You can't quit, I fired you." Let me see here if there's a way for me to... Yeah, y'all just sit there and be patient. I'm going to try to see if there's a way for me to view this thing. Well, there it is. Two watching. Welcome, you two. Okay, so I need to turn the volume down on this and just put the questions and stuff where I can see them, maybe. Okay, volume off. We're live. Oh, I just touched my nose. Is that going to show up? Yeah, okay, but I didn't put my finger in. That's good. All right, new pin chat. You can now pin a message to... Okay, got it. Whoa, I got to do that with a mouse. Chris H, hello. Hello, Chris H. Ryder71, hello. How it goes? It goes very well. I wasn't going to do this. Ala Toledo asked me if I was going to do it, and I said, yeah. And so now I'm stuck because I already spent a lot of time trying to figure out what I was going to talk about, so I don't want to waste it. And how do I turn this thing? I know there's a little... Oh, there it is. Doodad on the side. Actually, all I got to do is turn the whole rig. Whoa! It's a comedy of errors, right? Except it ain't funny. All right. Hello and welcome to... Somebody said? Praises. Okay. Now here's the deal. I guess I should wait for a few people to get here. No, I'm going to just go ahead and start. Good news. The Melchizedek script, or Melchizedek video series that I've been talking about for so long is almost done. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 have already been posted to YouTube. All I got to do is press the publish button and y'all will get to watch them. So here's the way it goes. I write the scripts. That took years. That's done. And then I proofread the scripts. And then I do it again, and I do it again, and I do it again. And I send the scripts out to people, let them proofread them. And then I shoot the video. And I bring the video in here and I edit it. Well, right now, I just left the upload computer, and part 7 is 25% up, which means in about 2 hours, it'll be online, ready to go. Took a lot of work to get them done, and some of them are out in the forest. I got one that's out in the tent, and sadly, those will be the last natural sustenance and covering forest videos you'll ever see because my forest was destroyed in the hurricane. But I have cleaned up my room here. In fact, you know what? Before we even get started, let me show you that. I'm so proud. Oh, can I turn this around? Yes, there it is. Okay, there's my dog. There's my light I built. I had to have that. There's my teleprompter. It's all set up, ready to go, because tomorrow I'm shooting video. My scale, my guitar. I cleaned all of this off. And when I say cleaned it, I didn't just clean it. I went through and threw away everything that didn't belong. Or I put it away somewhere else. You know, I got, I had like junk out here. Like I almost put this away, this guitar amplifier, but I didn't have enough space anywhere, so I just left it. But everything else is like a decorative item, like this 1900s lunch pail and these books and my G.I. Joe soldier medals. Why is this is not focusing? I guess I don't have enough light in here or something. Oh shoot, let me get over here. Show you the whole thing from a distance. Maybe that's what the problem is. Well, dag nabbit. Okay, there it goes. So I've got everything kind of looking nice, at least for the camera, you know. I didn't really do a good job of cleaning the floor. I never do. But everything else, everything that you can see, there's me when I was a G.I. Joe soldier on a ship in the Navy. There you go. All right, time to stop playing around and get to some serious business. I'll have to y'all remind me to remind everybody to watch the beginning of this so they can see how nice I made this place. All right. Who are the gods in the Bible? I think it's undeniable. Any church you go to knows that the Bible talks about gods. Not just the creator God, but it talks about a whole bunch of false gods. So, who are those false gods? Now, in the past, I have explained that some of the false gods were actual human beings. The ones who are called the Baals, and there's a bunch of different Baals in the Bible, those are just politicians. Like that, just had a big fight in America the other day. Had two false gods fighting for control of the planet, which basically is a pretty strong sign of mental illness. But these guys were not just mentally ill. The guy that used to be the king of the planet was basically insane, and he was headed towards being mentally retarded, like, you know, dementia or Alzheimer's or something. And so half the country didn't like him, and they got rid of him, and they hired a guy that is more retarded than he is. So just amazing. And these people are ready to go to war. We're about to enter into a civil war because half the country does not like the election process, apparently. All right, let's see what we got here. Looks good, thank you. And Tia Hoyle's, hi. Anyone notice the way the moon has been illuminated? Yes, we're seeing very strange things in the sky, and we don't know what to make of it, or at least I don't know what to make of it, and so we're thinking maybe things are starting to head towards what what we always talk about is that when Jesus was asked, what is the sign of your presence and the conclusion of this world? He said, well, first things, it ain't going to be famine, ain't going to be war, ain't going to be pestilence. It's going to be stuff that's in the heavens, signs in the earth and the moon and the stars. And so, and the church is the way they present it is they word that so it sounds like look for earthquakes, look for pestilence, look for famine. Jesus very clearly said, if you go back and read that, I think it's Matthew chapter 24, he says, there's going to be a lot of false prophets out there telling you about earthquakes and famines and so we're not going to know when the end of the world or the end of civilization is coming by any of that nonsense. It's always been going on. It's not going to stop. It'll be going all the way to the end. But he did say that it would be things in the heavens. And it won't be astrology. It will be changes in the heavens that anybody can see. And we think that's coming because a few of us are already seeing weird stuff. And anyway, just be aware that that's going on. Let's see here. Happy to see you again. I'm happy that you're here. Fresh baklava, as above, so below. There you go. And there is like the book of Revelation, the entire book of Revelation is about celestial phenomenon. None of it is about actual wars on earth, but as the comment says, as above, so below. So as these wars in heaven are going on, there likely will be wars on earth mirroring that. Are there gods in today's world? Well, aside from the fleshly gods that just had an election the other day, there's a lot of other fleshly gods, but the gods in the Bible are often called the angels. You have wicked angels and righteous angels. And in one of the earlier books of the Bible, it talks about this god Lucifer, who at one time walked amongst the burning coals, who was like in the celestial lights. He was so great, but he got to thinking too much of himself, and he set himself over humanity. And that Lucifer, we think of as Satan. So Satan is a god. He is a false god, and certainly there are others, because multiple false gods are mentioned in the Bible. And they're not really false gods. The Bible specifically calls them gods. In the very beginning, Genesis chapter 1 and verse 1, in our English Bibles it says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. But in Hebrew, what it actually says is the Elohim created the heavens and the earth. So the Elohim are plural, gods. So Genesis chapter 1 and verse 1 very clearly says, in the beginning, the gods created the heavens and the earth. Now later in the Bible, get this stuff off my back, it hurts. Later in the Bible, Moses is spoken to by the gods or by God, and he says, who should I say is sending me to talk to Pharaoh? And to this burning bush, and it comes out and says, tell him, Yehovah Elohim is sending you. Yehovah in the churches, depending on what church you go to, is either the Lord or Jehovah or Yahweh. Well, the word Yehovah simply means to be. So when the phrase is Elohim, Yehovah Elohim, what that means is the gods to be. Now we're going to solve this mystery today, and this is going to be a big deal. As I was putting together the Melchizedek script, I had decided to go ahead and add a part 10. It's a 9-part series, only 2 videos left to get up, and they're both written, they're both proofread. All I have to do is shoot the video, edit the video, send it out to 6 of my friends to check, to make sure I'm not posting something that's messed up, and then I'm going to press the go button on part 1. What you're going to get, I'm almost certain, because I'll change my mind all the time, but this time around I think it's too late to be changing my mind. I'm going to post one video like on Monday, and another video I'll post on Wednesday, and then on the weekend we'll do these live streams where people can ask questions about the 2 videos I posted, and then we'll repeat that every week until all 9 videos are done. Now I said there's 10. The 10th one I started writing a script for a couple of years ago, and I got to the point where it looked like, okay, I promised everybody I was going to get this Melchizedek stuff out quickly, and I knew that if I threw that in there, I wouldn't get it out in time for this year. So we're going to just go ahead and upload the 9 and do the 9, and then we'll just leave an open space for number 10. Number 10 is about who are the angels, where did they come from, and that's what we're talking about today, the gods. These invisible beings that apparently are manipulating mankind, the ones that are worshipped in the churches of earth. So, I've already said, in the beginning, the Elohim, the Yehovah Elohim, the gods to be, created the heavens and the earth. So how can that be? Because we're supposed to be monotheistic. That means we worship one God. In fact, when you get to the New Testament, there's a verse that says very clearly, even though there are many gods on earth and in heaven, and there are also many who are called gods, to us there is only one God. So even though the original first part of the Bible, the Old Testament, is all about the war between the gods, or the war between the righteous angels and the wicked angels, it's not that we are to worship all of those gods. Some of them are in the form of a god, like the Bible says that, Jesus, although he was in the form of a god, he never once even considered taking the place of God. And so, if Jesus was in the form of a god, then the form that Jesus was in would be similar to the form that these other beings were in. Now remember, Jesus is called the Son of God, and he's also called the Son of Man. And there's a reason for that. He's the only person in the Bible called Son of God and Son of Man. You and I, we're son of man. That's human beings. We're son of human beings. We have biological mother, biological father. See, Jesus didn't. He had a biological mother, but God was his father. But there are beings that are called the sons of God, actually the children of God, who had no biological parents at all. Adam would have been one. In the Bible, Adam is called the son of God or the child of God. But back in the Old Testament, in stories about the Garden of Eden, the book of Job in particular, it says that in that day, the sons of God appeared before the presence of God. There's another verse that says, in the beginning, when the sons of God saw that the daughters of men, and this is at Genesis chapter 6 and verse 3, I believe, it says, they saw that they were very beautiful, and they took for themselves wives, mostly all whom they felt like. They felt like taking her for a wife. That's what they did. Of course, that's poorly translated. Note, the concept of a wife back there did not exist. That entire concept did not come along until Abraham took Hagar as a wife. Now, the Bible calls her a concubine, and that's a very poor rendering. See, Sarah is always called Abraham's wife. Sarah was specifically Abraham's sister. Now, his Aish Shah, which means the leader of the male tribal leader. But he took another Aish Shah, which is the leader of the male tribal leader. That was Hagar. And Hagar is called concubine. The word concubine comes from the Hebrew word meaning basically sex partner by legal agreement. You see, that is a wife. Sarah was not in a legal agreement with Abraham. Hagar was. And so a lot of the stories in the Bible are exactly the opposite of what they're supposed to be because of the mistranslation of the word that appears in our Bibles as concubine and the word that appears in our Bible as wife. So we've got these sons of God, plural, very obvious. You go back and look at it. It's always plural with the exception of when it talks about Adam because he's singular. But these sons of God, plural, were real. They were actual individuals that could stand in the presence of God. And as far as we know, they're all like Adam. These are created beings. No biological mother, no biological father. The only parent they had was God. So where did these come from? And how are they there? Because this is a scripture that's always confused me. In the beginning, the gods created the heavens and the earth. So if I'm right, and Adam and the other sons of God are the gods that are being talked about here, how did they help create the earth? God did not create them until after the earth was established with plants and animals. And I stumbled upon something as I was doing part 7 of the Melchizedek series that is directly related to that. And hear me out, pay attention, pay special attention, because even though this concept is not that difficult, it's something that's outside of what we normally talk about. In speaking of Melchizedek, the book of Hebrews says that Melchizedek, that the Levites pay tithes to Melchizedek. Okay, so here we got some people chronologically backwards. Just like in the beginning, the gods created the heavens and the earth, and then God creates the gods, the sons of God. These are the ones that, and the reason I say they're the sons of God is because if you read the entire, I think it's the 10th or 9th or 10th chapter of Genesis, it talks about all of these gods. It says the son of so-and-so became the father of all those who man the forge, and son of so-and-so became the father of all those who plant crops. Son of so-and-so became father of all those who take care of animals. And if you go in other cultures, and I mean other cultures around the world, South America, China, Babylon, Egypt, all cultures have stories of gods, and they always have gods of the forge and gods of planting things and gods of music, gods of taking care of animals. Those are the gods. The gods were the first humans created by God, but also the first purebloods, because all of the people mentioned as being the father of agriculture and whatever, they're always purebloods. They're always children, like of Adam and Eve, or of Seth and his sister. And I am throwing that out there. That's speculation because it's not there. But the children of Abraham and Sarah are brother and sister. And so Isaac would have been one of these pure bloods. And then Jacob would have been a pure blood. And the Bible actually says that Isaac and Rebekah were upset over the fact that Jacob took wives from the land and did not have children by his family members, the people from his tribe of purebloods. So if we go back and look at this, we've got all these people that are match the stories of the gods told around the world, and they are supposedly here before the earth is created. They took part in the earth's creation, even though the Bible says they were not born until hundreds and sometimes even thousands of years afterwards. So how do we make sense out of this? It's the same thing with Levi. The Bible, the book of Hebrews, clearly says that Levi, all the Levites, that was the priestly class of Israel, all of the Levites bought the privilege of being priest from Melchizedek. Melchizedek was hundreds of years prior to the establishment of the Levitical priesthood. So how could they have paid tithes to Melchizedek if they were not even born yet? The Bible clearly says that when Abraham defeated the kings in the battle of Peleg, that when it was all over with, Abraham paid tithes to Melchizedek. The other kings wanted Abraham to pay tithes to them. The Bible says that when Abraham paid tithes to Melchizedek, that the Levites were in his loins. So it could be said that even we were there at creation, because we were in the loins of our parents. Our parents were in the loins of our grandparents, and they were in the loins of their parents. You go all the way back, eventually that we were all in the loins of the sons of God, who at one time could be said to have been in the loins of God. So when God created the heavens and earth, the Bible rightly says that the gods created the heavens and the earth, because the gods, the sons of God, were in God's loins when he created the heavens and the earth. So there is the solution to our mystery, this ancient mystery. No one has ever heard this before. It's the first time I ever said it, and no one else knows about this. So consider yourselves special today. As these gods went on, they did a lot of the things a lot of the hardships that the earth has been through. They also did good things, because some of the gods, like Gabriel and Michael, they did what God wanted. The only one that's mentioned by name that did not do what God wanted is Heliel. Specifically, Heliel, the angel Heliel, is the one that's called Lucifer. Heliel just, all those names like that end in L, they're like gods. Not all of them are like the angels, but they all are very powerful people. Like even later on, Daniel, ends in an L. And so those were people that were very powerful. So they were not purebloods, but they were powerful. Now let's take a look at what some of the comments are coming in here. Oh, good, it's not too far long, so I don't have to get too deep. Let me see. Did Ala Toledo leave a remark? So I know he's gonna contact me when this is over and say, "Wow, you did really good." Say you're fired. Say no, I quit. Okay, Stephen Chapman. There you go. That's the last question. Are there gods in today's world? I think I just answered that. Because I'm not gonna. There are people that say they see angels and stuff, and I've never seen one while awake. That I know of. Maybe I have, just didn't recognize it. But a lot of people say they've spoken to angels and stuff, and I'm not going to tell somebody. If they tell me they saw a UFO or Bigfoot or whatever, I've learned. Just because I haven't seen something doesn't mean that somebody else didn't see it. All right. Bob G, yeah, I'm seeing the moon out during the day. Went out to prune the rose bush, 10 a.m. There it was, nuts. Well, that's part of a natural process, because at one time, the moon was always in the nighttime sky. The sun was always in the daytime sky. And so anytime you saw the moon, it was going to be full, with the exception of twice a year during the equinox, when the moon would be in lunar eclipse. However, even with the moon in the daytime sky or the nighttime sky, The lighted part of the moon should always face the sun, and the proportion should be relative to how far the moon is out from. So if you've got the earth here, and the moon's here, and the sun is here, the moon should be full or very close to full. Now, if the moon is directly overhead, what's going to happen is the sunlight's going to hit this part of the moon, and from your perspective, the moon will be half dark and half light. Keep an eye out on that, because I've been seeing the moon way off from the way it's supposed to be. I can't explain it, and I don't want to act like some kind of wild conspiracy theorist, but I know for a fact that when I look up, a lot of the stuff is not right. You know, I've got this thing that shows me where the stars and planets are supposed to be, and it's not jiving. So anyways, I'm not telling you that things have started happening, but it looks like they might have. We're not really going to know when the last days begin until the moon goes into the nighttime sky, gets full, and remains 100% full for, I'd say, 3 days. Give it 3 days. If the moon is 100% full for 3 days, that's impossible. And it also means that the moon will be 100% full forever from that point. So that's something to look out for. That's what Jesus was talking about when he said the sign of the last days would be in sun and moon and stars. Uh-oh. 3D Zip Guy, is there somebody before that? Angela Moore says hello. Okay, and Rider71 says, shaking the heavens and the earth. Yes, indeed. That's exactly. Yeah, there's that verse, like I said, Revelation is all about celestial phenomenon, and it says the stars will fall like ripe figs in a wind. So that's going to start happening. Things are going to start moving in the sky to places where they absolutely don't. It's not the heavens that are going to move. It's the earth that's going to move. But if the earth moves, what we can see in the sky will be different. Prune Picker says, howdy y'all. 3D Zip Guy says, really excited. Patricia says, hello from Ohio. Sorry I'm late, no notice. Well, you know what? We did drop the ball this week. Both of us got all busy on other things. And if you go back, look, anybody that's just checking in, go back to the beginning and watch this thing, because I did a little tour of all the cleaning I did in here. I've been asking people, you know, as I'm making the Melchizedek videos, I'm putting them on YouTube in unmarked or whatever, so you can't find them. And I'm sending the links to 6 of my very special friends who go through them carefully to make sure that, you know, I didn't mess up. And one of them said, you know, there's not a problem with doing this in your library, because everything looks so nice and tidy. And I looked at it and I thought, you know what, this place looks terrible. So even though it looked okay in the videos, getting rid of all the like computer cables and toolboxes and all that stuff that you may or may not have even been able to see has made it look much nicer. I feel much more comfortable in here. All right. And Patricia says, hi to Ryder. Discernment Miles says, good morning, Earthlings. Patricia again says, it's fun to say hi, Ryder. Okay. Marie's Vegetable Garden. I have missed you, SNC. Where have you been? I missed you. I've been checking my videos for Marie and haven't seen her. And I thought maybe I said something to make her mad. I love you, Marie. So don't ever question that. No matter what I say, don't get upset at me. All right. I agree with the lunar phases. Okay. Discernment Files. Our calendar is supposed to be starting new month on a new moon. Yep. That's right. And look, it isn't really like that either. The calendar was always supposed to start on a new moon, but if you go back and watch a video series I did called Written in Stone, the new moon in the ancient past was weird. It wasn't like it was going through phases. It would actually change colors. Every 30 days, the moon would change colors. And once every 6 months, the moon would go completely black. Now, it would only go black on one side of the earth. So in the fall, or in the spring, I can't remember. But the spring equinox and the fall equinox would have an eclipse, a lunar eclipse. However, because of the movement of as the earth is rotating, you're not going to be able to see a lunar eclipse all the way around the earth, because you can only see it on the side where it takes place. So once every 6 months, it would take place while the earth was rotated towards it, or the Middle East was rotated towards it. The other half of the year, it would be over the Pacific Ocean, out there by where Hawaii is. And so even though we had 2 lunar eclipses a year, you only had one visible from the Promised Land. But there was a really weird thing put in the Bible that they had to celebrate once a year the Feast of Trumpets when the moon went black. And they had to have 2 separate calendars, but they only celebrated the Feast of Trumpets on one calendar because the other calendar that they kept, which we were told one is secular and one is ritualistic, one was for the Eastern Hemisphere, one was for the Western Hemisphere, one for the Northern Hemisphere, one for the Southern Hemisphere, because the celestial phenomenon that would take place in each hemisphere would be different from the other hemisphere. Isn't that amazing? So yeah, every new moon was supposed to be on, that was every 30 days. So you would get 12 30-day months in a 360-day year. So what that means is now technically what it means that the year would change as the Earth changes position relative to the sun and the moon. So here's your sun, and here's the Earth. We're in the northern hemisphere, so if we're facing towards the sun, that's summer. And as the Earth goes around the sun, what ends up happening is the bottom of the Earth is facing towards the sun, and it would be winter for the northern hemisphere. So you would have, this is the simple way to explain it, which is not accurate. But the coldest day of the year would happen once every 360 days. And the reason that's important to know that is that crops had to be planted on the proper day. The Bible has days for planting and days for harvesting that in a 365-day year would never work. And the weird thing is, calendars have been found around the world, and they're all the same, even though the cultures that had the calendars apparently were not aware of one another's existence. So you have this southern hemisphere stuff going on with a 360-day calendar. You got northern hemisphere stuff going on, western hemisphere, eastern hemisphere, and every one of them had the same calendar. The only exception being that none of the calendars in the Americas had a 7-day cycle, because the 7-day cycle apparently was only happening on the eastern hemisphere. Yeah, that's right. Is that correct? Yeah, so that over towards the Middle East, they would have something happen in the heavens every 7 days. Apparently nothing happened in the West because of in the Americas every 7 days. But there was a cycle of time that was a 400-year cycle of time that is on every calendar, and it's spoken about in the book of Revelation. It's the 144,000-day cycle. That's 400 years of 360 years with 12 30-day months. The Mayan calendar is set up like that. So all calendars around the world had that in there. Even Abraham spoke about that calendar when he was preparing to enter the Promised Land. Okay, let's see here. Oh, Mars is hardly moving at all. That's not the big deal with Mars. I've been looking up there, and it's just bizarre how bright it is. I mean, that's one of the first things I ever learned when I was a child is Mars, because it's a red planet. And I remember being told, look at the red planet is Mars. And that thing's not red. It's barely pink. You just have to remember where it is just to even know whether or not it's Mars or not. But right now, you look up there, it's a whole lot redder than I remember as a child, and it's a whole lot brighter and seemingly a whole lot bigger. So that's part of my conspiracy way of thinking. I'm looking at this every day. There's a couple of options. They say that the pollution on our Earth is clearing up because of the pandemic. People aren't going anywhere, but at the same time, when I go to Walmart, people are packed in there like sardines. It's hard for me to believe that pollution has dropped off that much from the little bit of sabbatical the Earth is experiencing right now. Okay, let's see here. Any thoughts on the outcome of the election? I kind of had to prepare myself for this. Like, please, God. In fact, I'm not even going to say the word. I wish I hadn't said that word, because YouTube is going to do some kind of blocking on me or something. And look, I haven't been putting any ads on my stuff lately because I'm still scared of losing my medical benefits. But it looks like I can, but I'm not going to do it until I'm absolutely certain. So Yeah, if just in case you notice, there are no ads. Don't feel sad for me. I don't want ads. Okay, welcome from Ohio. Hi, Ryder. Files. Good morning, Earthling. Yeah, the election. Here's the deal. I think I opened this up by saying, human beings have just chosen a new false god, and it's like half the earth was really, really upset about the last false god, and the other half loved the original false god. And for me, it's just these are some really pathetic people. The most pathetic humans on earth are the mentally ill, and anyone who lusts after world domination is mentally ill. That's just all there is to that. And they always will compromise their ethics, their spirituality, their relationships, and their lust for power. It's mind blowing. And these are the people that are worshipped. It makes no sense to me. They're so pitiful, and yet the people who are strong look up to them. I don't get it. And the guy that they just put in there seems like, they're both elderly, and the one that was president previously seemingly was getting slower and dumber and more confused. So they replaced him with a guy that's like 10 years ahead of him in being dumber and more confused. So, that's all I got to say about it. Is I just cannot understand why the Baal of our day are worshipped so strongly. But, back in the ancient past, the Baal were always worshipped. And that's what that means. The word Baal in Hebrew, the god Baal, Baal is really just God's word for politician. It means God by contract. Ba-el. El is God. Ba is like by contract or by agreement. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, Patricia says you can't wrap her mind around why the earth is high and the sky and moon is low, and when the sun is low, the sky high. It isn't even like that all the time. It's like you have to, and it's weird. The moon is always in a different place, and you have to be like a trained astronomer to be able to understand if things are right or not. And believe it or not, we have a trained astronomer now that is a subscriber, and they're contributing a lot. And so I'm not crazy. People that have certificates from colleges are telling me I'm right now. So y'all can be happy about that. All right. Oh, that looks dramatic. This computer's got some lag in it because I'm looking at this screen, but then I'm watching this. Really cool that when I do that with my hair, that's kind of neat. I never saw that before. Okay. Edward says, sorry, nice to see you on video. I forgot you did a Sunday 12 noon video. This is Michael Howard from Skype. Nice topic today. Hey, yeah, I forgot your YouTube name, so I'm glad you reminded me. Did you see reports in China they experienced 3 suns in the sky? Not only did I see it, but that guy Richie from Boston saw it. I think his channel is called RFB. I don't watch him, but I got a few friends that do, and they send me his videos. And somebody, he actually saw that thing. And so a lot of people are seeing this. And once again, one of the people sending me information about it is my friend, the astronomer. So this is real. The real stuff is happening. And not only that, but the explanation that's in the press, okay, they use some kind of scientific word to explain why this is happening. My astronomer friend was explaining to me what that word really meant, or what that phenomenon really was. And she said, this is absolutely for a fact not what they say it is. It may be something that's explainable, but it's not the thing that they say it is. So this is good times to be living, you think about it, just all this weird pandemic stuff and economic collapse stuff and, election stuff, all that weird stuff is going on, which is like someone said earlier, as above, so below. You got all these weird things happening down here on the earth. This is some fun times we're heading into. All right. Yeah, the writer says the sun and the moon are on two different courses. You know, it's kind of weird when you start watching these videos. Well, for me, you start making these videos because I don't watch them. I don't have time. But you go out and you start looking at the sun and the moon and the stars and the planets in a different way, and it's something you would never question. You know, you grow up in school and they're telling you how all this stuff works, and you just nod your head because you don't want to look stupid. You go, "Oh yeah, I understand. I understand." You really don't understand, but you don't want people to know that. So now that we do understand, we go out there and look at them and go, now I really don't understand. Because I know the explanation that was given to me in high school, and I know the explanation I've read in books. That does not explain this stuff. So it's not; those were not explanations. All right, Mars is hardly moving at all. Yeah, it takes a long time. I mean, Mars has always been like right about in the air. I've never seen it disappear. You know, that's the thing. The Earth is going around the sun, and Mars and Jupiter and Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Mercury and Venus, we're all going around the sun, right? But that means that for most of the time, we shouldn't be able to see any planets because they should all be, there should be times when they all go behind the sun. And right now, I think all seven are up there. We can't see Neptune and Uranus because they're too far away. But all the rest of them, you can go out there just about every night. If you go out early in the evening, you can see, you know, several of them. And then you go in the later in the evening, you see several of them. But you can see all five of the visible planets every night. So it's just weird. It's weird, and you know what? I don't want to look stupid, so I'm just going to move on to the next remark here. Here we go. Here's my astronomer friend. Sundog is what they call it. Sundog. That's the phenomenon you're supposed to be seeing with multiple suns. Sundog is nothing to do with multiple suns in the sky. Manipulation of weather and sky may be taking place. In fact, we know they are. I don't know if I should say it on the film. I may know that. I don't think it. I know it. All right. 1 Corinthians 13:12. Patricia Revere, big in your face election fraud will be a test. Test for the court system. Don't know what that is right off the top of my head, but you know what? The whole thing is, in the very beginning, God created man and woman, and Adam and Eve. By tradition, we call them Adam and Eve, and told them not to eat a certain fruit that was not meant for them. No explanation as for why. You know, no explanation in the Bible. I'm certain that Adam and Eve knew what the explanation was, but one of the explanations was if you eat this fruit, you're going to die. And so when Satan approached Eve, he told her, "Well, you're not really going to die. It's just that God don't want you to eat it because he does not want you to become a god like him." And so Eve thought about it, and she said, you know, God says I'm going to die if I eat it, and I just have to be a human. Satan says that I won't die if I eat it, and I could be a god. And so there's that weird thing. Why would Eve want to be a god? She had a god, and the God loved her. The God cared for all her needs. The God gave her rules to live by, and the rules were pretty easy rules. Eat food, drink water, sleep, have sex, make sure nothing bad happens to the forest. What else could she have wanted? But she decided to try being a god. So when you're down there demanding that you be allowed to rule the earth, that's the same thing as being a god, a false god, a Baal. And it's not just the guys that are running, because the people who are voting, they believe that it's their actions that steer the course of humanity. So even voters are false gods. The word, like I said, Baal means politician. Vote, the word vote, it's Latin, votum, it means to pray. So when you go to the polls to cast your vote, that is, linguistically, that's the same as praying to Baal. And so we don't want to be the guy running for king of earth, but we don't want to be the guy supporting the king of earth either. Our job here is to observe the rest of humanity falling into that trap. Because for millions of years into the future, people are going to come to us and ask us what we saw. You know, we're living in a time that the prophets dreamed about and talked about, but never got to experience. Very soon, the prophets will be back. And they're going to say, all that stuff I told you, did it come true? Yes. Explain to me how it came true. You don't want to be telling, well, I was going down and voting for one of the politicians and Armageddon started and I got killed. All right. Sorry, didn't see the note. You didn't get notifications. We dropped the ball. I got busy with cleaning up. Like I said, go back and watch the beginning of this. I gave a tour of my little library here because I'm really proud of having like vacuumed up 5 gallons of dust and then cleaned everything. You know, so it's, as proud as I am, you have to go back and look. And look, we're going to start doing all our videos in here because the forest was destroyed. So you just get used to this until eventually the county and the state will get all the national parks or whatever cleaned up, and I'll go shoot some video out there. Okay. This is really going pretty good. And you know what? I kind of feel bad about it because it is stressful. And Ala Toledo is going to tell me, hey, you did such a good job. We'll just let you do it from now on. And he'll say, I quit. And I'm like, no, you're fired. You can't quit. No, you can't fire me. I quit. Yeah, I use that already. Okay, I can see Mars during the day. It's coming towards us. Hey, you know what? I hope you're right, because that would be a big deal. All right, in the groove, 99.9999% sure. And I don't know what he's sure about, but you know what? I'm with you, in the groove. What if the place is a simulation? Wouldn't that be us? Is that us? Are we in a simulation, a matrix of sorts? Hey, look, I question everything, but I don't dismiss anything. Uh-oh, look what's going on here. Let's see. Ha 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 ha! Ala Toledo just clocked in. He's watching. He says, the election is a distraction. 1.5 hours till the podcast. Oops, looks like my clock was messed up. Sorry. So, yeah, that's why he's not here. His clock is messed up. At least that's his story, and he doesn't normally change his story, so we'll go with that. When I was in school, this is 1 Corinthians 13:12 KJV. When I was in school, I was taught the moon only shows one side because it doesn't rotate on its axis. You know what? That might be the Mandela effect. Actually, no, it isn't. But I know when I was a kid, I was taught something about the moon. The dark side of the moon is always dark, or it's like I never got that right. Even today, I'm like the guy that teaches people about the movement of the sun, the moon, and the stars, and how it's recorded in the Bible. And I always get that wrong. It's like one side of the moon is always lit. It's in what's called what is it called? It's the same kind of orbit that spaceships are in when they go somewhere. But it's always going to be facing, it rotates in such a way that it's always facing the sun, I think. I think that's how it works. So we get to see all sides of the moon, I think. But the side that's dark, there's not much to look at for us. So that's what that's about, I guess. Okay. Hey, Eric Ellingwood, haven't heard from you in a long time. Hello, Eric. Discernment file says, pretty sure, like Henry said, the planets are going back to their rightful positions. You know, I never knew how this was going to work out, and I still ain't sure because I'm always like double checking myself. You know, God does things pretty miraculous. It's like when the Israelites walked through the Red Sea, the Red Sea didn't take 3 years to slowly open up. It just went poop. And so I always thought, well, maybe the planets will just go poop and it'll all be done. But, you know, a more reasonable way for that to work is that the planets slowly start coming back into their proper orbits. We're going to see it. And if you're new here, and you think I'm pretty smart and you just like listening to me and you've got some spare time, go back and watch Written in Stone. That's like one of my masterpieces. Melchizedek coming up is going to be another masterpiece, and I'm going to go back and redo Written in Stone eventually. All right. Yosuke Hanamura, someone skipped science class. I didn't skip, I was in there, I just wasn't paying attention. Okay, K. Ken title, and I was paying attention, but I've forgotten it because that was like 50 years ago. Elliptical, they're in an elliptical art. Is that right? Where's Tia? She knows what that all about that stuff. All right, discernment file says, "Hey, out of Toledo." Aha! So we gotta get here. Is this guy Yosuke Hanamura? He's one of those. I can't say it. I would get in trouble because I got a thing here saying this guy said something really nasty. So you want to hide him? I'm like, yeah, hide him. Let's hide everything from him. Geostationary. That's the word, right? Okay, that's the one. That's got to be the one I was looking for. Hi, from Alberta, Canada. Discernment files. That's Vincent S. Maybe moon is hollow. Well, I believe it. Hey, look, there's people that believe that the moon is a hologram, which is not even hollow. It's like it's not even there. Or hologram. There are some things that are just too ridiculous for me to believe. Now, it might be hollow. I can't say, but I wouldn't even I wouldn't even just try to determine what the center of the moon is made out of. I don't even think we have any business checking to see what the crust of it's made out of. Yeah, there's got to be a reason Mars is so big all of a sudden. I would say. Some reason. Alex Toledo, when we get done with this, you need to show me how to block Yokosuke Hanamura. All right, yeah, don't pay any attention to his silliness. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 12, King JV says, moon has to rotate on its axis. If it's always going to show one side, it's almost exactly time to do so, and that's weird. That is weird, and it's a sign that God is real. You know, it's like this. It's like, okay, there's a lot of stuff that happens in our sky that the ancients wrote about. Okay, like, doesn't matter where you go. If you go to Rome or ancient past Greece, Phoenicians, Egyptians, they all had names for the planets that were visible, the gods. And all of the gods have male names, with the exception of Venus. Venus in English is Venus. It's the sex goddess, the erotic goddess, the mother goddess, all of those things. It's female. And every culture has a different name for it, but they're always female. Like in the Bible is Ishtar, Ashtoreth, Astarte. That's always a female goddess. That's always planet Venus. And you know what? All the planets rotate one way, with the exception of Venus, which rotates the other way. That's not something that people on the Earth could have viewed. In fact, if you've got a telescope, you're not going to be able to view it. You'd have to have a really, really big telescope to see that happening. So anyway, yeah, that's weird, isn't it? So the ancients knew there was something different about Venus, different enough that they could call it by a feminine name. And supposedly they had no technology to actually witness this phenomenon. Everything is not as it seems. Question everything. Hi, anyone else? Okay, here it is, Kathy. Says, hi, anyone else can't hear what Henry's saying? Oh no, you can't hear me? Everybody else can hear me because they're all leaving comments. Or at least no one else has said they can't hear me. All right. I usually have trouble with live chat. Probably my computer illiteracy. Hopefully I can watch and hear the unlive version. Good day and God bless. Well, Kathy, if you have any trouble, if you can't get your sound, just let me know, because I got a friend that's missed today's meeting, and he'd probably be willing to make up for his sin by helping you. All right, Sandra Tirado says, I just blocked that dude. Yes! Well, you blocked them on your end. I don't know if that helps me any. Okay, actually, discernment files. Actually, the Bible says there is an underworld. Well, think about that. You have to look it up in the original languages to see if it's under like relative position or under in like more evil or whatever. You know, and not only that, but just because there's an underworld doesn't mean it's a physical underworld filled with fleshly beings. You know, like if you think about it, when Samuel died, you know, he was buried in the ground. That's the underworld. But he was dead. His body was dead. But then when King Saul got into trouble, he ran to the witch of Endor and said, I'm in trouble and I don't know what to do. Samuel could have told me what to do, but he's dead. Can you bring Samuel up? And she said, well, no, King Saul says I can't do that. And he goes, I am King Saul. I command you to bring Samuel up. And so she does. And that's where Samuel comes from. Samuel, the ghost, or the spirit, he comes up out of the ground. So if there's an underworld, it's not necessarily a big hollow place with people walking around. You know, spirit beings. Which work says, hey, SNC. Yeah, here's one from Discernment Files. Ancients also saw Saturn in the sky by the naked eye. We can all see Saturn by the naked eye. It's a teensy-weensy dot. What he's talking about is there are stone carvings on these stone reliefs that have the planets in the background. And some of those, and in every one of them, there's always a planet with rings around it. You know, Galileo invented the telescope, and he never identified the rings of Saturn as rings. He said that it looked like Saturn had ears. And it was later on that someone determined. So this is basically recent history, whereas human beings even found out that they had rings. So how did the ancients know that they had rings? All right. What? I was reading about this before, and it said that Uranus does not rotate different than the rest. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know why I would have remembered seeing that. But you know, Uranus is it's a Greek word or Latin word, but it comes from the Uranos, the Greek word, which means heaven. So when it talks about the God is in heaven, in the Bible, the original word is Uranos. And let's see here. A prograde direction. This is our astronomer helping us out again. All right, that's another word, prograde. I guess that's Venus, right? Prograde. Oh, wait a second. Yeah, let's see here. Goodbye, Yokosuka Hanarami. Go on. Okay, thank you. Sandra Torado just helped me out. Patricia once saw Saturn through a powerful telescope. It looked like a white dot with a line through it. Yes, Uranus rotates 180 degrees of all other planets. Bye-bye, science dude. Hey, he's gone. Okay. Hey, guess what? We're at the end, and it has been an hour, and we're going to stick to the Ala Toledo's rules of conduct for this channel and cut it off at an hour. So I hope everybody's excited about the Melchizedek scripts. As I said earlier, 7 of them, well, 6 of them are posted, and within the next half hour or so, I'm pretty sure the 7th will be, because last I saw it was at 25% uploaded. So we very soon will have 7 videos ready to go. All I have to do is get my 6 special friends to look at all of them to make sure I didn't mess up, and then we'll go ahead and start pressing the publish button so everybody can see them. But I've got, in total, we're going to get 9 of them loaded up to YouTube. Get them all edited, get them all viewed by my 6 special friends, and then we're going to put number 10 up as I get around to it. So you may have to wait another year for 10, but I don't think so. I think I should probably be able to get it up in about a month after the last of these come out. And that one is going to be all about the gods, the angels, the gods, the purebloods. Love you all. I really enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it too. And as always, if you do not want to survive, don't listen to me. Oh, I got to turn this thing off, right?